first came to see me, she presented as a typical little old lady. She had a little bit of a southern accent, very, very simple lady. She presented as a hard-working individual, very, very polite, very religious. James Langley was her husband. He was a local Norwalk construction guy. When the police came on the scene the day of the burning, they encountered Mr. Langley coming outside the house, sort of down the driveway. He was in bad shape at that point. He had been burned, obviously, and he was very disoriented and, running towards the car, driving the car erratically, that type of thing. If you take a look at the arrest warrant, you'll see that my client, Mrs. Langley, is denying that right as she sits at the kitchen table. She's saying, Langley, how could you say that? I would never do something like that. And it was a very, very confused time. Mr. Langley says, I don't know, I woke up on fire, but I saw her do this. She poured the liquid and light the match. And the inconsistency has always been, if somebody's sleeping and he doesn't know what happened and he woke up and he was on fire, it's very hard to sort of reconcile the words that I saw her do this. She light the match and pour the liquid. And that's why I've always thought, and what we tried to drive home to the jury at that point was that he was thinking out loud, trying to figure out what had happened to him. So he was pretty much, for about 12 or 13 days, just fighting to live against what would naturally set in infection, basically, and kill him. And I think that's what eventually killed him. And the jury saw some photos, and these were some of the most gruesome and some of the most painful looking photos that you could look at. And it had an effect on the jury, of course. She really loved Mr. Langley. She cooked for him. She cleaned for him. She did everything that she could for him. And, she had a very simple relationship with him, a simple relationship of love. The evidence came out in a way to illustrate clearly that she loved her husband. She cooked for him. She bathed him. She took care of his diabetes and that type of thing. But interestingly, after the case, one of the jurors came out and spoke in the newspaper, and it's always been something that's haunted me for all the last 5 or 6 years. And the juror said, well, we knew something to this effect. We knew that she was there, that she was involved somehow, some way. We just couldn't figure out how the fire started. And that, to me, if you're going to put a person behind the flame to say that she lit her husband on fire, you have to know how the fire started. And I don't think that the jury had that question answered, and I've always thought that it was the obligation of the state to show the jury how it is that Mrs. Langley actually did